The Great Pyramid of Giza was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. It's one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, but it's the only one still standing. Its construction is a mystery that has captivated minds for centuries. But what if we told you we solved the mystery? Well, stick around and find out how the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the most intriguing facts and theories about the pyramids, ancient Egypt, and other archaeological discoveries. Join us and let's dive into today's video. Egyptologists have always wondered how the pyramids were built. Every year, new theories are proposed and debated. However, according to a recent study conducted by the University of Johannesburg, they finally know how it was done. Researchers used computer animation to simulate how the pyramids were built. They concluded that the stones were moved using a ramp system. This method requires a flat transport surface, and this supports the idea that the ancient Egyptians had a sophisticated understanding of engineering. It could be concluded from this research that they did not use brute force to build these structures. Instead, they used technology and calculation to achieve their goal. But why did researchers conduct this study now? Well, a few years ago, some researchers discovered a possible quarry site for the Great Pyramid. At the site, they found some evidence left behind from the ancient builders. It seems that they were able to exploit the natural landscape and make building the pyramid easier. A team of scientists from the University of Johannesburg wanted to see if this theory could hold up. They decided to take it a step further and created a digital copy of the area where the pyramid stands today. The scientists then built a virtual pyramid using the same dimensions as the real one. Then they tried to replicate the building process using different methods until they came up with the ramp system. They also took into account factors such as friction and gravity to make sure the stones would stay in place once they were lifted. However, even though the ramp system makes the most sense, there are still some things that don't add up. Researchers do not know where the ramps were located. There are many areas around the pyramids that have been destroyed over the years, so it is difficult to come to any conclusions. According to the simulation, the ramp system had to be at least 250 feet long. The researchers believe it may have been built from the rubble of earlier attempts to climb the pyramid. Another possibility is that the ramp may have been placed inside the pyramid itself. Either way, it was a genius way to move such large stones. It is mind-boggling to think about how anyone could have thought of something like this thousands of years ago. The pyramids are considered a masterpiece of engineering. They will continue to fascinate people for years to come. Even though we may never know exactly how they were built, it is fun to speculate and imagine what life was like back then. Now let's discuss how the pyramids were actually built. First of all, let's start with the basics. What exactly is a pyramid? Well, it is a structure with a polygonal base and sloping sides that meet at a point called the apex. Pyramids can be found all over the world, but the ones in Egypt are the largest and most famous. Building a pyramid is no easy task, even with modern technology. But the ancient Egyptians didn't have any fancy tools or equipment. So how did they manage to construct these massive structures? Well, it all started with planning. Building a pyramid required a lot of organization and coordination. The Egyptians had to plan out the structure carefully to make sure it was stable. It wouldn't collapse. They used advanced mathematics and astronomy to help them with the design and construction. Once the plans were in order, it was time to gather materials. The main material used in Egyptian pyramids was limestone. The blocks were quarried using copper tools and then transported to the construction site. It's believed that the stones were moved using a combination of rollers and levers. Once the stones were in place, they were lifted using a ramp system. This allowed the builders to raise the stones to great heights without the need for advanced equipment. As the pyramid grew, the workers had to carefully shape each block to fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. This required a lot of skill and precision, but the end result was worth it. The blocks were so precisely cut that many of them fit together without the need for mortar. In addition to the limestone blocks, the Egyptians also used granite for certain parts of the pyramid. Granite is a harder material that was often used for the inner chambers and passages. These rooms were usually filled with treasures and offerings for the pharaoh, and the granite was meant to protect them from looters. Overall, building a pyramid was an incredibly complex and labor-intensive process. It required the skills of mathematicians, astronomers, engineers, and craftsmen. But the ancient Egyptians were up to the task. They worked tirelessly for decades to construct these magnificent structures, and the results still stand strong after all these years. But it wasn't just the size of the pyramids that was impressive. Their interiors were just as fascinating. The burial chambers of the pharaohs were often decorated with hieroglyphics and artwork depicting scenes from their lives and the afterlife. Some pyramids even had secret passageways and hidden chambers that were only discovered in recent years. It's hard to imagine what life was like for the workers who built these pyramids. They lived in a completely different time and place with different customs and beliefs. But they left behind a legacy that continues to amaze us today. We can learn a lot from their dedication, skill, and craftsmanship. There are many ongoing debates about how the pyramids were built. Some believe that they were built using slave labor, while others argue that the workers were paid and treated well. In fact, evidence has shown that many of the workers' villages were located near the pyramids, and that they had access to basic amenities such as housing, food, and medical care. Another popular theory is that aliens helped the Egyptians build the pyramids. Proponents of this theory claim that the pyramids are too perfect to have been built by humans alone, and that extraterrestrial help was needed. However, there is no evidence to support this theory, and it is generally dismissed by mainstream historians. One interesting myth about the pyramids is that they were built as tombs for the pharaohs. While it's true that the pyramids served as burial sites, they were also built as a way to honor and deify the pharaohs. The Egyptians believed that the pharaohs were divine and that they would become gods after death, so the pyramids were built to reflect their status and power. Egyptologists have learned a lot about the pyramids over the years, but there is still much that we don't know. New discoveries are made all the time, and we continue to be fascinated by these ancient structures. One of the latest discoveries was made in 2017 when researchers found a secret tunnel inside the Great Pyramid. The tunnel is located near the king's chamber, and it is believed that it may have been used to transport the pharaoh's body to the burial chamber. It's also possible that the tunnel was used for ventilation or to hide treasures. Another recent discovery was made in 2019 when archaeologists found a series of coffins inside the Pyramid of Khafre. The coffins were buried deep underground and they contained the remains of several individuals. It's believed that the coffins may have belonged to priests or other members of the royal court. These discoveries are just the latest in a long line of Egyptian pyramid mysteries. We may never know everything about these ancient structures, but that's part of what makes them so fascinating. They will continue to captivate our imaginations and inspire our curiosity for years to come. What are your thoughts on the new findings? Do you believe the pyramids' mysteries will ever be solved? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We have lots of videos about ancient Egypt coming up, and you won't want to miss them. Thanks for watching.